Welcome to Hi-Fi. I'm Marcos, this is Kurt, and in this video we're going to be comparing the M10 V2 to the original M10. We're actually reshooting this comparison video today because we want to address some of the comments you guys left on our original comparison video. So we're hoping to clarify some of those comments and answer some of your questions.
So when I first read the differences, when they sent out, I don't know how long ago, that was a long time ago, it was actually pretty bold. There's a couple of things that stood out, that there was 6 decibels in gain, also related to that much in loudness, which I don't really think is possible, but you know, we'll dive into it deeper and see what some of these claims are true or not.
So when initially unboxing our M10 V2, we noticed there's not that much physical difference. It's still the same chassis, Gorilla Glass on the screen and the top. The back is still exactly the same as the original V1. One thing we did notice though when we plugged it in is the screen is quite a bit improved. It's now featuring an IPS screen, which just helps with color accuracy. Response times are a lot faster, we found. The viewing angle is quite a bit wider than the V1 was.
So one thing other than the screen that you mentioned, I did notice that, the response, and we tested it on a little volume that, where is it here? It's quicker, and it seems overall the screen just responds better. Other than that, in terms of cosmetics, I can't see anything else much different wise. It's the same, other than this says V2, and that's it. So one of the main goals when they were doing the whole V2 was really to incorporate the whole Dolby Digital. And as we talk about why they did the 6 dB gain and stuff like that later on in the video, a lot of it was in mind of being able to turn this unit using their Blue Sound products into a complete Dolby surround.
One thing I really like about the V2 Dolby Digital surround sound setup is the fact that it's a really clean and simple setup. So you can use your favorite regular 2-channel towers or bookshelf speakers for your front channels, and then for the rears you can use the Blue Sound Flex as your rears, and you can also use the Blue Sound Pulse Sub as your subwoofer, which is really nice and clean. You don't have wires running all over your space, so I find it works really well.
Yeah, what they really did focus to was on latency, so make sure it's a lot more seamless. Another thing just to add to it, so other than the Flex, you can actually, from what I know, is you can add a power node. So if you want to run traditional speakers, you just add a power node and you can set those channels to the rear speakers. So one of the things that they did was they added a 6 dB gain. Now this is where I was confused, because they both said it was just not a 6 dB gain, however, a 6 dB increase in power in terms of overall SPL. So it was, I don't know how that's even possible to achieve. And then diving into deeper, I did contact somebody from NAD just to have a quick chat about this. And the whole idea is the whole algorithms involved and the whole gain algorithm, allegedly it actually increases the ability to drive a speaker. And maybe that's where they're getting it at. And we did test it, and we'll go over what we tested on that.
One of the big reasons they actually worked so hard on making the gain algorithm better was to help with the direct live filtering. What tends to happen when you add the filter, the volume level goes down. By adding a gain to it, you're not affecting your volume levels as much. The other thing with Dolby filtering, it was very difficult to get the sub to match the same volume level as the speakers. So by increasing the sub out gain, it made for a much more balanced sound and fuller sound.
And especially Dolby Digital for the subwoofer was easier to match. And another thing, just to add, it allows them to get a little bit more headroom when you're doing the direct live. So it just kind of what you mentioned there, but it just gives you, the ability just for people to feel that it doesn't have to bring down the gain so much after you complete the Dirac process.
So we actually ran our classic dB test on both the M10 V2 and the M10, just to really kind of sort out and kind of real world test these new gain claims that NAD made. The M10 V2 does play a little bit louder, but we did notice it's more around the 2 to 3 dB range.
And just so you know how we tested this is we took the same track, and what we did was we played it to a level where we audibly can hear through our ears where the distortion started. We really tried to max it out. So on the V1, it just seemed like it distorted a little bit quicker. And again, maybe just by that 2-3 dBs, which you think about is quite a lot, because 2-3 dBs in general, you have to double the wattage to increase that kind of output. So I'm not sure what they're doing there, but it must be the ability, again, through their algorithms or whatever they're doing, to be able to drive the speaker to a higher level without distortion.
By having that 2 to 3 dB jump in gain, I did find with the Dolby Digital, it really did help with that. The explosions, the impacts, they're definitely a little bit more present with the M10 V2. One thing that I find very interesting with this gain algorithm is the fact that they could optimize it to actually improve the performance of the amplifier by quite a big margin, just by working on that algorithm a little bit.
Well, it is pretty neat, especially both of us having some type of computer programming and science background. It is pretty neat in the modern day world, and I have seen it before. I remember DVLA did the same thing, I think 7 years ago, where they gave everybody pretty much what they call the power boost, and it was hardware stayed the same, but they were able to increase the efficiency allegedly and increase the output.
When it came to listening to the M10 V2 compared to the original M10, sound quality wise, I thought they were very, very similar. They're still using the same DAC. They're still using the same sort of architecture to stream. So I didn't think the sound quality improved, but I still think the M10 and the V2 both sound really great for the money.
I did feel the same. I don't know, maybe it's that placebo effect where because you hear these new algorithms, maybe it sounded a tad bit more dynamic. But I don't know. Like again, I don't want to claim that it is because your psychoacoustics plays around a lot of times with that. I think there can be though a difference in sound quality if you're going to be driving a hard to drive speaker. And the reason why I say that is because a speaker with a lot more difficult load will demand it, and then if the V2 can drive it better, generally it's going to sound better. It's going to sound like you have more dynamic contrast. So there may be some benefits in sound quality. Like I said, we're not going to go too far in saying it's drastically better. Maybe in just certain circumstances.
So is the M10 V2 really worth the upgrade from the original M10? I think it is worth it if you're looking to do that Dolby Digital surround functionality out of it. I do think that's a really cool feature. And if you're in a condo or a smaller space and you want to have a nice clean look, the M10 would do an excellent job with that. Overall, sound-wise, I don't know. What do you think, Kurt?
I don't think so. The other features that you need, like you mentioned, in the theater, I think that's the only time I would consider it. And again, that whole thing about 6 dB gain and also playing louder, I really don't. I don't really think it's enough to jump out and change it again based on just sound quality alone.
Thanks for watching our video today, and we'll see you in the next one.